Does that really say 10,000? Nice. It is time to take out a very special fiber for this very special occasion. Now, what is so special about this fiber, you may ask? There is a braid of Falkland wool that is just named Jente. It's not specifically named after me, because Vrouwkes Wool Boutique just names her wool to Frisian names. And my name, coincidentally, is a Frisian version of a Hebrew name. But yeah, some will not fight me that there is wool with my name on it. Literally. So of course we're spinning it today. I thought that would be like a funny coincidence, a little brain tickle to do on our 10K subscriber special. It is also purely coincidental that a braid that literally has my name on it also literally is made up of my favorite colors, being orange, green and yellow. There's also a little bit of blue and purple in there, but that's perfect. It is a coincidence because the braids are not only named Frisian names, but are also dyed, inspired by Frisian landscapes and nature. So maybe I should just visit Frisia one day, because it just looks great and it's named after me. Anyway, how shall we spin this braid? It looks a little bit chaotic, but with defined color spots. So maybe it's a good candidate for a fractal. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a fractal. The plan. One single, half the braid. Second single, half the braid, split in 4. I don't know where I got the number 4, but I just went with it. So as promised on my community tab a couple of weeks ago, today we're just going to do a cozy sit and spin and just talk a little bit. And for that talking, I asked of you some assumptions that you have about me, which were very interesting to read, and I will react to them, and you will know in a couple of minutes, or however many time I need, if you were correct or not. Get rid of my shoe. First, however, I want to turn this bobbin around so that it is on the smallest whirl and I can get a little bit more speed. I haven't spun Falkland before, so that's a new fiber. It feels really soft. Let's grab a first paper from our glass bowl of assumptions. Alexia assumes that I am smallish and fit the perfect hobbit stereotype. Well, I am not tall, I can tell you that, but I always say that I'm also not small because, well, I am just exactly the average height of a woman in Belgium. Like literally, just Google average height of a Belgian woman. That's me. I'm fairly average. So I think if we have to measure in Tolkien measurements, I'm more the size of a dwarf than I am a hobbit. Now, you have struck, of course, a sensitive chord, because even though I am average, everyone in my life is pretty tall, so they do call me small. And I disagree with them. I am not small, but chances are that you are taller than I am. Jenny guesses that I am similar to them, since we are both very creative. Maybe my sleep schedule is terrible, just like theirs. Well, no. I am very particular about my sleep, and I go to sleep at 10 o'clock, maybe 10:30 at the latest. Oh, I need my sleep. I need so much sleep. I like being in bed, sleeping. Amy Makes Everything says, I assume you used to read books beneath the desk when you got bored in school. I didn't read books underneath the desk, but like I always had like a tiny little notebook where I used to doodle in. But I feel like that's the same thing. Christy Putney says, I'm going to assume that you love Belgian chocolate. Weirdly enough, no. I mean, not specifically Belgian chocolate. I've got nothing against Belgian chocolate. It's just that I'm not a chocolate lover. As in, I like white chocolate and milk chocolate, but I cannot stand pure chocolate. It is way too bitter to me, so I feel like I cannot say that I like Belgian chocolate because I don't like the chocolate aspect of it. Like a lot of people say that white chocolate isn't actually chocolate, and white chocolate is my favorite. But there is one specific Belgian chocolate that I like very much, and that is the white Manon praline from Leonidas. If you ever have the opportunity to taste that when you're in Belgium, that's the best bonbon, praline, whatever you call it, that you can find. 100% honesty. As a Belgian, Leonidas Manon praline. Dol Can assumes that I must run on coffee. Ew. No. No, my engine is very environmentally appropriate. I run on water. Coffee is worse than dark chocolate. Tasted it in my mouth ever in my life. But I have smelt the smell and I have concluded that that is not something that I want near my taste buds. Same with too bitter a tea. Like actual teas, not my thing. I will drink herbal infusions or just mint in hot water. That's my hot beverage of choice. Not coffee, not actual tea. Colors of Hopecraft ASMR assumes that I am a kind person who likes helping people. I also seem very knowledgeable about history, so they're guessing that I went to college and majored in history. They're also guessing that I am open-minded and I am okay with people being LGBTQI+. I asked for assumptions, not facts. No, but I did go to university and I majored in history and journalism. I've got 2 degrees. And I am very okay with people being people, however they define that for themselves. Susco assumes that I am passionate about my favorite things to the point of obsession. When you love something, you love it with every fiber of your being and will happily learn about every single historical detail in order to fully understand and appreciate it to its fullest. Yeah, I kind of think that's true. Not sure if I will immediately find out every detail at the moment that I'm starting with it. When I get interested in something, it is something that I will research and read about a lot, all of the time. But these assumptions are also keeping me from spinning. Why don't I have an extra pair of hands? Could read and spin at the same time. Or if my long draw could just be unsupported, but it's not working with this fiber. Stitch de la Suisse assumes that I play Pathfinder and maybe just occasionally D&D. No, I just maybe just occasionally play Pathfinder. I have one Pathfinder game with my friends that we have been doing for years now, but we do it so infrequently that we're nowhere. But I like playing it, like with my friends. It's a nice thing to do with my friends. I'm not that deep into the role-playing community that I actually Yeah, I'm just not that deep into the role-playing community. I just play one Pathfinder game with my friends. That is all. Oops, I might have come across a little bit more nerdy than I actually am. I just don't have time for it. I want to spin all the time. Brian assumes that I must sleepwalk and spin while sleeping. Nope. When I'm in bed, I am as silent as a corpse. I also don't think I spin that much. Right? I just spin a normal amount. What are you hinting at? Flat Battery makes, I assume that you're a perpetual student who is always hungry to learn everything you can each time you come across something new to you. Yeah. I hate the feeling of coming across something that I don't know. So, Google is my friend, Wikipedia is my friend every time I come across new stuff. I like collecting facts in my brain. Intentional Living Hawaii assumes that I had difficulty paying attention in school. Well, this assumption can either be correct or wrong depending on who you ask it. If you ask my teachers, then yeah, they all thought that I had difficulty paying attention in school because I was always doodling or drawing or something. However, that helped me pay attention. I have paid a lot of attention in class. I must have been maybe the most attentive student in class, but I was doodling at the same time, and I don't think people, or at least teachers, understood that I could be attentive while doodling. Moonbasket has a hunch that I am on the autism spectrum like them or neurodiverse in some other way. Cannot hide it, can I? Well, I'm going to be completely honest, I don't know. I assume myself that I am neurodivergent, that whatever is happening up in this cranium is spicy. However, the flavor, I do not know for sure. Autism runs in my family, so there is a genetic component that, well, indicates that that might be the case. However, I was only tested for one thing, and that was only coincidentally and partially. So I've done a partial IQ test which pointed to the fact that I might be gifted. So I only did like half an IQ test, so my cousin's friend wasn't able to specifically determine what number they can paste on my forehead, but it's higher than 130. Is that the only flavor of spicy? I don't know. I do relate with a lot of the autism symptoms that I come across online, but there is a big overlap between giftedness and autism, so is it both? Is it only giftedness? I don't know, and frankly, I'm right now not feeling like I need to know. I'm okay with just saying that, yes, my brain is neurodivergent. I am neurodivergent. I feel like that is label enough right now. I also don't need external support, like governmental supplied support or something. I don't need that in my life right now, so I also don't see why I should pay a lot of money for a diagnosis. Anyway, as they say, birds of a feather flock together. Let's get to another assumption, because Deborah assumes that I am a very creative person that must keep fiber in my hands or nearby at all times. That's how I get to one video every week. Amanda Greer assumes that I cannot handle spicy foods, both heat and spice itself. This is both correct and incorrect. I love spicy foods. I love eating them, I love the taste of them. Give me Indian food, Thai food, oh, it's also good. However, my intestines have a different opinion. I love eating it, I just don't love the day after eating it. The Anna edition says, I assume you thrift many things and you also love a Renaissance fair. Correct. Correct. My assumption is that you seem like someone who is really good at having conversations. Like we could talk and talk for hours and never get bored. Also, another assumption is that you seem like you know the most random facts. Random facts. Absolutely correct. And the fact that I know such random facts sometimes ruins your first assumption, because I am the party pooper that says unfunny facts about funny topics, and thus ruining the joke for everyone. But your first assumption is correct. Like me and my best friend, we can have conversations for hours just about those random facts. Like that's just our conversation. Did you know? And then did you know? Hours on end. So if we vibe, yes, hours on end without getting bored. If we don't vibe, then I might just shut down and or have trouble getting into the conversation, if that makes sense. Like sometimes people are having a conversation, especially in groups, and I just cannot find the right timing to say what I want to say. So I just don't say it, or I feel like I interrupt people. I assume you met your husband playing Dungeons and Dragons. No, we did not. As I just said, we play Pathfinder every now and then with friends. But we only started playing Pathfinder, I think, when my husband and I were almost 10 years together. Now, we met at university. We met in our historical Dutch class. So my husband and I meeting was very much a case of hebben Ola Vogela. If you know something about historic Dutch, this is probably funny to you. I hope. Hebben Ola Vogela nestasi hunan hinase hikandatu. Watun bidan minu. I would guess you are the youngest child in your family. Incorrect. I'm the oldest. My assumption is that your husband brags to other people and sometimes even exaggerates about your success as a YouTuber. He is incredibly proud. He is incredibly proud. My husband is very proud. I don't know how much he brags about the channel itself, but he does have a tendency to brag about my skills, like the skills that I use for the channel, or my drawing skills or my painting skills. I assume you used to have a much darker / edgier style like goth, emo or punk, and your music tastes reflects that. My music taste does reflect that, but I never got into the edgier styles. Like I wanted to. I really wanted to. Like I bought clothes that were like darker and black and edgier, or had like that checkerboard motif that was really popular with the scene kids, stuff with skulls, but it just didn't fit me. I just didn't wear them. I always felt like it was some kind of a costume I was putting on, even though it reflected how I felt inside. Like it reflected the music I liked. It just couldn't somehow. I'm a yellow metalhead. I assume you are a person who enjoys knowing deep specific details rather than broad overviews. While your brain maps them to connection points, they are so odd or so specific that many people are surprised and or confused when you bring them up in conversation. For example, instead of knowing the whole timeline of a castle you visit with your husband for the history hikers, that's our other channel by the way, if you didn't know, you would rather know about the one random architect master builder who put this specific style into the east side arch windows. You know how to distinguish his work from the surrounding stonework, and you know the philosophical and practical matters of his life led to the development of this style. Double if this person of interest is a woman / femme. I'm not sure if the example is entirely correct, but the general gist of it, yes, very much correct. Especially the people are surprised and they're confused when you bring your facts up in conversation. Yes. I have that effect on some people. first bobbin is done. This is the first single with the long color progression from this fractal. And we still have a lot of assumptions. So before we start on that second bobbin, let's answer some more. That made a funny noise. My assumptions are that you are not a picky eater and always try new foods, that you work at a museum, that you have gone through many aesthetic changes with what you like to wear, and you don't have any tattoos. Incorrect, incorrect, correct, correct. I am a picky eater. It's not that I don't try new foods, but there are certain foods that I will just refuse because they make me gag because of the texture of the food. Like, I will not eat mushrooms, seafood, some kind of meats that have a lot of fatty textures, and very bitter stuff, or at least stuff that I think is very bitter, like chicory. My parents-in-law have a list of things that I don't eat, so that they remember to not use that in their food when I'm coming over. I'm a picky eater. But I will try new things, but if I have tried them and I do not like them, I will never eat them ever again. I do not work at a museum. I honestly wish I did, and I have applied for a job at a museum, but I don't. I don't work at a museum. I just work as a communications officer for a non-profit organization. Yes, I have underwent many aesthetic changes. Right now, I would say that I would classify my aesthetic a little bit as goblin core, like it's everything thrown together that just fits well in a way that hides certain things and emphasizes other things, but is like flowy and very textural and mostly handmade. I used to dress mostly vintage for a while. I also then went more history bounding, cottagecore, hobbitcore, those things. But right now I am at a throw on what feels comfortable and just loosey-goosey. I don't know if there actually is a core or an aesthetic that right now describes what I wear, but I feel very comfortable in what I wear, and it's mostly the same thing, just a long flowy skirt and then a shirt or a sweater or both. And I also don't have any tattoos. I see a lot of friends and family members with tattoos, and they get addicted to getting tattoos, so my stance is I'd rather not get any done. Oh, strap on tight, friends. This is a complex one. TJ assumes that my relationship with my faith is more complicated than I present on camera, not because they don't believe I'm Catholic, but because I seem to lean so far to the left on social issues, and they assume getting those two stances to mesh isn't always easy. Complex answer, strap on tight, and maybe I will get the fluffs for my second bobbin just to spin while I answer this. Because very interesting assumption, and I have so many thoughts about it. And the gist of my thoughts are actually no, I don't think it is really difficult to mesh my very extremely left-leaning social, political, and economical stances with my faith. But that is because of many factors. Firstly, I do believe that there is no other stance you can take after reading the New Testament and believing in the New Testament and wanting to follow Christ. I mean, wasn't it Jesus who braided a whip and chased the vendors out of the temple? Wasn't it Jesus who said, "It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God?" When I talk about my faith in videos, I get so many comments about how it is refreshing to hear my stances, and I get baffled by that. Well, not entirely. But I did a theology course, as I have said, a theology course that was linked to my diocese. I mean, I even got a course from our local bishop. I got courses from our vicar general, and everything that I have taken for myself for this faith, for this religion, so is backed by my local bishop. It's not that I am committing heresy with what I'm saying. One of the very first classes, and I remember it so clearly, was about the Christmas story, and it was the Vicar General who gave that class, and he emphasized the importance of the shepherds in the story, as the shepherds historically were people that were not accepted by good society. And he emphasized that this was so important, that Jesus first goes to the shepherds, because Jesus first wants to go to the people that are marginalized. And that is the central focal pivotal point of the entire New Testament. How can you read that and not be left-leaning? That's my question. I am not baffled that there are people that are not, because I know that institutionalized religion, and not only the Roman Catholic Church, has proclaimed other messages and is still proclaiming other messages. I would say that the assumption is correct that I don't always feel good with meshing what I personally believe and my left-leaning stances with what the church as an institution sometimes has been saying and is still saying. You are correct in that assumption, but my personal faith and my personal left-leaning stances, they go together perfectly. Now, another thing that I must tell you is that I am, of course, a member of the Flemish Catholic Church. Not that it is different, there is no schism or anything, but there almost was one, because the Flemish Catholic Church is very progressive. I don't know if you know, but Flemish bishops, I think a year or 18 months, even before Pope Francis says that it was a-okay to do this, made blessings institutionalized in our Flemish Church. This is a thing, this is a direction that the bishops gave. There are blessings for same-sex couples. Whenever there is a pride parade celebration in one of the bishop cities, I'm thinking Antwerp, there's a mass. There is a mass during Pride, because the Roman Catholic Church in Flanders has pastors whose main focus is pastoral care for LGBTQI+ people. I live in the perfect region of the perfect country to be an extremely left-wing Roman Catholic. I hope this answers your assumption. I do not have any difficulties with meshing my faith with my social, political, economic stances. However, I do feel weird about some of the things that the church as an organization does, says, or people that proclaim to be Catholic or Christian do and say, because there is so much oppression in the name of our church, and I just do not understand it. I don't. How can you? Maybe I'm also too much of an historian. I rediscovered the faith during my master in history. I rediscovered it through the medieval lens. Literally, I had a class on how medieval people understood the Bible, and that was so eye-opening to me. Just knowing the historical context of a lot of the texts and how people saw that. I know that some groups will use "he created them, man and woman" as a way to say there is only two genders, to oppress people. While when you see the historical context, it actually means that this part of Genesis was a rebellious text that wanted to set itself apart from, I think, the Babylonians, who really strongly believed in the superiority of men. And the Jews then, because this is the Old Testament, wanted to say, no, God created men and women equally. They are both created in the image of God. If you get that historical context, there is just so much more left-leaning things that you can read in the Bible. But of course, there are people that are going to say that this is all interpretation. And it's true, it's all interpretation. And the way I interpret it is very left-leaning. That was such a complex question, I even forgot to spin a simpler question, please. You drive a big truck, you have to hold all the wool you bring home. No! I drive a really tiny Hyundai, and it's orange. That's the most important thing about my car, of course. Now, I'm lucky that oftentimes people will bring the wool to me, and then I can live with my very tiny Hyundai. I assume that despite being the little one in your relationship, you often end up being the big spoon. Yes. My assumption is that you have an ongoing D&D game and your character is a goblin. I have an ongoing, but as I have said, very infrequent Pathfinder game, and my character is a Gripply, which is a frog. I mean, it's close enough, right? It's a frog. When my friend proposed, like, do you want to play a Pathfinder game with us? I was like, yes, but only if I can be a frog. You have few but very close friends and you are close to your family. You make everyone laugh at the table. I don't have a lot of friends, that is true. And I would say that we are very close. I'm also close to my immediate family. I don't know, if I make everyone laugh at the table, you should ask them. I'm pretty good with like quips and witty answers, but I'm terrible with telling actual jokes, like jokes with a clue and a punchline that build up. Nope, not my strong point. But like having witty answers to what people say. Yep. That's me. And lots of puns. So many puns. It's terrible, actually. My assumption is that you are a creative genius. Now you're putting me in a pickle. If I say yes, I am arrogant. If I say no, I'm going to get attacked in the comments that I'm a liar. I assume you knit at work whenever possible. No, frankly, I do not, but mostly because it just is not possible at my work to knit. I am pretty jealous of people who can work from home because I cannot, and have like online meetings, like via Zoom, and then knit, because all my meetings are in person, and also my office is located directly across from our regional manager. From his desk he has clear view to whatever I am doing, so knitting is not in the picture for me when I'm working. My assumption is that you are a person who is willing to help anyone in need and you make the most wonderful friend. Again, you should ask my friends though, but I do have a record of keeping my friends pretty long. Like one of my best friends, we have been friends for 20 years this year. So literally since the first year of middle school. So to stick around for 20 years, and I don't think I am a terrible friend. My assumption is that you are maybe able to see more colors, especially shades of yellow, than other people. Maybe you are tetrachromat. I have had this assumption as well. Like when I was doing my graduation project on my drawing class, I was drawing portraits of people in my family. You know, inside joke with a lot of my fellow students that there is not enough green and purple in my drawings, because I was using green and purple for all of my portraits. But I saw them, I saw those colors, so I do assume of myself that I am a tetrachromat indeed. I just don't know how to be sure. Are there tests for that? My assumption is that you are like me. One craft is not enough. You've got a diverse taste in creating, but fiber is number one at the moment. Correct, and I'll show you. I mean, just have to turn you around for a second. Ta-da! Here is my visual arts creating space. But yes, fiber is number one at the moment. Because you have the same energy as my granddaughter, look similar and often act the same, I assume you were twins separated at birth by a few years. She's 19 and countries because she's from the US. I assume that you think that I'm younger than I actually am. I'm 32 right now. That's just a little bit more than a couple of years, isn't it? Still can't do it with one hand. My assumption is that you like maps. Old maps, fantasy maps, foreign maps, that sort of thing. Ooh, you don't know how correct you are. We have Middle-earth map in our living room, and when I was growing up, I had like a very big map in my bedroom. Like, you know, teenagers, they usually have posters of Johnny Depp and that stuff, but I had a 19th century map of Belgium and the Netherlands, and I really liked it because there was a mistake on it. The municipality of Haarlem was twice on that map, and it should not be there twice. Yes, I like maps. Maps are so cool, especially old maps. My assumption is that dandelion was your favorite crayon color as a child. I don't know if Crayola is in Belgium, but you would like it now, I think. Mine was cerulean blue. Crayola probably is in Belgium, but we didn't have it when I was a child. And my favorite colors have changed over the years. Right now it is yellow, orange and green, and orange and green have been like a favorite throughout the years. But there were times where blue was my favorite color, and I specifically remember one blue Bruinzeel pencil to be my favorite, just because it gave the most color. Like, you could get such intense tonalities with that one pencil. I am assuming you are unbeatable in the kitchen and make delicious jams. I also think that when you were a kid, you always had 2 long braids and lived on the countryside. Well, I am Belgian, of course, so we pump up the jam. Am I unbeatable in the kitchen? No, I think I am very beatable in the kitchen. I sometimes am a little bit frazzled and then the food gets burned or something. But I like making jams. I really like making jams, and that's why I like having so much fruit around my garden, and I want even more fruit in the garden so I can make more jams. We lived in the countryside, but as a child I often had short hair. The second bobbin done. Yes, now we can apply and see if my fractal plans work out and become a nice yarn. My assumption is that you are a vegetarian because you are kind. Also, I love your house, it's perfect for crafters, and would love to know how you found it. If I were to phrase that as an assumption, it would be that you want to live here forever until you can buy a sheep farm / small holding. Vegetarian? No. However, I do make the conscious decision to eat less meat. That's called flexitarian, I think. So multiple days a week I will make meals without meat. But I do still eat meat. And the house, well, yeah, it is perfect for crafters. And that is because it was built, or well, renovated in the 90s to early 2000s by a couple of artists. He was a painter and she a ceramist. How do you say that? She did ceramics. So literally, this is a crafter's house. We found it the way people find houses, online. And I would like to live here indefinitely until we find the perfect sheep farm in the mountains. My assumption is that you're not an only child. I feel you have at least 1 or more siblings. Correct, I have 2 sisters. I assume that you have very high morals and values and will fight to keep them. Yes, I will fight you. I assume that you are a chaotic, scattered person because there's too much creativity in your brain. There isn't as much room for day-to-day boring stuff. Things get lost, things get found. Lists are made, but not adhered to. Your partner might be in charge of planning and groceries. I hate how accurate this is. But yes, Dries is my support network. Would I function as an actual human being without him? Questionable. Good morning. Yesterday I erroneously assumed that I could finish this yarn in 1 day, but we have made good progress. I am wearing my apron today because I am in the meantime also scouring my project for Tour de Vlies. For those of you who have been wondering the past couple of weeks if I would do Tour de Vlies, why would I not? So that's right now on the stove, outside, everywhere, taking over the entire place. But of course, Tour de Vlies is in the cards. Don't fret. Before we finish this yarn, maybe finish the assumptions. You love to hang out with 3 to 5 people, but not big groups. Correct. Big groups overwhelm me, while being with 3 to 5 people, you could have a nice, meaningful conversation with everyone. Etienne assumes that I researched the etymology of the word assumption and traced it back to its roots. Incorrect, but only because I studied Latin in high school and I know that assumption comes from the Latin assumere. So I don't have to research it. I know it. I think you are a very financially responsible person and have a secret love for spreadsheets and household budgeting, allowing you to save up and plan for your lovely vacations. Both correct and incorrect. I don't really like spreadsheets and all that stuff, or household budgeting, but I am very frugal. I'm very frugal with my money. I don't like spending it. That's how I allow myself to save up for all my vacations. Just don't spend the money on other things. Buy everything secondhand. And my husband and I also have like this rule to determine whether or not we should make a big purchase is a €1 per hour rule. If something is a lot of money, but you know that you will get at least as many hours enjoyment out of it as it costs in euros, then it's not a big expense, so it's okay to buy it. My husband sees it more in a positive light. Like, yeah, I will certainly get 50 hours of pleasure from this. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to get to those many hours, so let's stay there. And the final one, in my glass jar. Maybe you're more vegetarian, flexitarian leaning. Oh, dang it, I didn't like my final assumption to be a doublure. Because I already said this. Yes, I am flexitarian leaning. I don't often use the word flexitarian though. I just say I consciously don't eat meat for a couple of days in the week. I have something in my eye, I'm sorry. Those were the assumptions. Now let's get to finishing the yarn. And maybe clean up the assumptions because they're all over the floor. Pleased that a fiber blend named Jente can result in such cheerful and spring-like yarn. I feel honored. I also think it was a good idea to go with the fractal because what a lovely yarn! How would you have spun this yarn? Now for the sappy bit of this video. Because this has been going quite a bit about me. While this 10K subscriber celebration is nothing about me, it's actually all about you, because all I had to do for the past 3 years was just show up every week with a video. And I could not have done that without your never relenting support, without your comments, without your love, without your stories I wouldn't have just had the motivation to continue if it wasn't for you. You are the only reason that this channel still exists. I am every time so touched whenever someone writes in the comment that my videos are an inspiration for them, that they picked up spinning because of what they saw on this channel. Or some people have even named their spinning wheels and looms and spindles Jente. Like, I was, of course, never a popular kid, and realizing now that there are 10,000 people that like me well enough to click a button is just not something teenage Jente would have ever dreamed of. I had 2 friends, that was it, and now 10,000 people think I am pretty cool. Or at least that's what I hope that you think, and that you're not just subscribed to look at, haha, what's this nerd doing? I don't think so. No, your comments all tell me otherwise, and I'm very, very grateful for it. So grateful that I actually have no words. Did you know that it's also probably near my birthday that the 10K happened? I mean, at this point in time, we're nearing the 10K. I'm recording this in advance because I'm pretty sure that it will happen within the next 2 weeks. And in the next 2 weeks is also my birthday. So thank you for this birthday present. What a way to become 32. Of course, as always, if you also want to spin this braid, I have linked the shop in the description. I am not sponsored. I bought this with my own money, but I was just very charmed by the fact that it was named Jente, even though it had nothing to do with me. I guess up to the next 3 years of this channel. Next adventure is, of course, Tour de Vlies, for which I have very exciting plans, and I will see you then. Anyway, if you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe, but of course that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in a next video, but before we do that, here are some more spinning shenanigans.